Yo, yo!
How's it going?
Hey, good man. How are you? What's been happening?
Pretty good.
How much ladder have we been playing? We've been slaying. We've been getting slayed. Bit of column
I've
A, bit of column B.
been pretty good. I mean, I got to Plat 1,
Hells yeah.
feeling good about that. Keeping up with like a slightly above 50% win rate, so I feel good, you know.
Awesome.
Um Getting slaughtered by Terran, but playing a lot of Zergs and doing quite well. I feel as of right now.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, look at that American date system. I was like, it's not the 12th of December yet. It's putting the numbers the wrong way around. I like it. That's great. You've already got a couple notes there. Okay, alternate build order for Zerg. Main
Yeah,
focus on
that was just
TvT, early pressure, and maneuvering. Cool. So, what? Yeah, I guess what was the Zerg build you were doing?
well, I was doing the same build for everything,
Okay.
which was our two base all in, and we talked about um maybe like working on an alternate build for Zerg, just some kind of like maybe BC into Battlemech kind of thing, just to like switch it up and have another option.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something where we want to have some pressure against Zerg at one or two moments in the game. Leading into any sort of all-in or big attack. Potentially, we could be doing a three-base pushing style. Off the back of that aggression, we could play, crazy Hellion BC Battlemech. I mean, we can do a lot of different things. Ultimately, it comes down to what you want to enjoy. So, what direction do you wish to take, my friend? What sounds cool?
With that, I kind of would like to play with some kind of early BC into a Battlemech, just because it's fun and I haven't really done it.
Okay. So what do you think of with Battlemech? Like, are you thinking you're just gonna run Cyclone Hellion around? That's like a very fancy style. Most people usually just go kind of, I guess you can kind of play very traditional mech is probably a little bit easier,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
But you've got BCs running around and Hellion run bys, so you're still being very harassment oriented into the mech. That's probably a bit easy. Like Cyclone Hellion is, it can work out really well, but we'd need to commit really hard to it so you can get good at the macro of it, where you just kind of like you get your third down, and you get your five factories, and then 90% of your attention for the rest of the game is just your Cyclone Hellion running back and forwards and like scanning and locking onto things and
Yeah.
basically never actually standing and fighting, but just kind of holding your opponent at arm's length, and every time he comes forward, you're just jabbing him in the nose repeatedly, and he's like, it's the superior reach fighter who just never lets the other guy get close, and you're just backing up and punching him in the face and backing up and punching him in the face,
Right.
and it takes a lot of time to kind of grind your opponent down with that style. But it's also fancy micro. It's fun. It's very fun. There's 1,000 ways we can choose to play, but let's just try and define what you envision as being the fun parts of mech. Is it that we can do a little bit of that, and then just go into traditional mech with just like 3 or 4 cyclones into tanks and stuff? If we're opening BCs and we got Cyclone Hellion, things can get a little complicated with microing everything.
Right.
That's why I'm thinking maybe just queuing in some Hellion run bys, queuing some BCs to run around being annoying, and then go your standard tank Hellbat Thor. What are
Yeah, I
what are
mean,
some
that
themes? Let's
that
just
sounds like
make
a
a
lot of
list.
fun. Yeah, I kind of wanted to just as also a way to work on micro a little bit, because obviously this build has been all about like economy and timing, uh and getting into it, and I'd like to work on like micro and multitasking in that way a little more, so like a build that allows me to like work on being aggressive early while maintaining those production cycles.
All right, we want to work on micro multitasking, kind of creating some chaos.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting a bit more comfortable in that. I mean, yeah, well, Cyclone Hellion can be good for that. Hellion BC can be good for that. Anything where I mean, the great thing about any mech style is you are basically going ultimate defensive comp, right? Which,
Mm.
in a way, it enables you to be more aggressive with your harassment, right? Because You're like, I got 4 tanks on the high ground, and, you know, if I feel I need more, I can pump out, you know, 5 tanks at a time or some shit, depending on how many tech lab factories we have, right? A lot of players aren't going to attack into you. You got your walls. So because you don't really need to look at home that much, like, we're going to, like, let's just throw Hellions in here and Libs in here. So, I mean, I'm going to actually go to my own YouTube. Endless Mine, Liberator, TV, you know, TvZ. We're going to... TVP, Marine Mine Drop plus Liberator Macro textbook. No. Thor drop into Mass Mine. I mean, that's definitely probably one of them. Basically, yeah, one of my trolley builds, which I beat rather good players with, is something like this. So I'll link you this one on Discord. Where are we at? All right, let's take a look at this game real quickly off my YouTube. And obviously we're going to start with a very silly build with a Thor drop. Not a very effective build. It's probably a strategy request or something. But let's take a look at it. So let's go after the Thor drop. We're tabbing out in the middle of the game to change our album like a legend. Okay. So yeah, what we're going to see here is an example of just basically throwing so much harassment at our opponent that they're never going to be able to get out. Oh, did we win that quickly? Oh my god, okay. This one was like really quick. So never mind. This is not the best replay. Let's take a look. But we are going to see like, okay, yeah. So in this game, you're going to see me floating a third out really quick at 6:30. No units at home. If you go to 6:30 game timer, which is... yeah, about 6:40 or whatever YouTube timer. And then all I'm doing is I'm just like queuing Widow Mines to like go burrow both across the map and like outside his base and even in his mineral line. I'm queuing Liberators to siege up in the back. And I'm just like queuing up problems for him, right? And I'm not really actively microing them, but I'm building a 4th on location. So there's a mixture here of exceptional greed and just crazy amounts of problems that I'm trying to create for my opponent to make his brain overload, right? You'll see if you watch from that period, you can see like Widow Mines borrowing, the Liberator does move around, etc. But basically, the whole game plan here was to just keep doing that over and over and over and over again. And oh no, the game does go on. It was just a pause. That's why we tabbed out. Okay, cool. Thank God. Thought it was replay analysis from there. And you're gonna see. Let's go. Just Widow Mines queued here. Widow Mines queued there. Liberators constantly building, queued up. This is like the real low APM harassment. Like Liberators are disgusting, right? For this, because you can just queue them. So as long as you're not F2ing or getting your control groups confused, you can just keep sending them along the edges of the maps. And in this game, he went Muters, but I just keep queuing Liberators down the edges of the map, and he is getting absolutely dicked. Right. So this is like one of the wilder ways where I would never play this as like a standard build. I practice every game, right? Because I got no defense at home. Like, if 8 roaches run into my natural, I'm just like, trying to burrow mines on top of them. Like, you know, really, like, I've got nothing that just shoots. But this is just, I think, a good example if you skim through this game and you kind of just look at the mini-map and look at where my attention is. Where most of the time, I'm just trying to macro very greedily, and I'm just queuing up harassment. So... even if you're doing a different starts, you could shift-click Hellion to the edge of the map into a mineral line. Don't even look at it. Good chance it's going to kill a ton of stuff. Queue a Liberator to go siege up somewhere. Good chance it kills a bunch of stuff. I would say we try to want to stay focused on mostly Mine or mostly Hellion focus, depending on what we prefer. And then mostly BC or mostly Liberator focus. We don't want to be like, I got Mines I'm trying to use, and Hellions, and Liberators, and BCs, because you're going to overload your own brain, and you're going to start freezing up mechanically, because you just don't know what the fuck you're meant to be clicking on, right? You want to make sure you're only using a certain number of units so it doesn't get too mentally overwhelming. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, like you just look at the minimap and you can see how douchebaggy this is. Or I'm like attacking with a few mines on a Thor at 10 minutes 30. And it's like, is this a good push? Well, not really, but I've got a Lib sieged on his 3rd and I ran Widow Mines into his 4th at the same time. So, and I've got, you know, a 5th and 6th that I've just built on location. So as long as I just keep throwing shit at him, like some of it's going to stick, and most importantly, I can just replace these armies because I'm being exceptionally greedy, right? So there is always a certain style of play where you simply try to get enough tempo and you just keep doing stuff, that you are swamping your opponent in both a mixture of full-on harassment and full-on macro. Often we think of those as two mutually exclusive things, but you can learn quite a lot from just doing a douchebag style like this, where you're not trying to be safe at every moment of the game, but you're really putting your opponent on the back foot, where they're like just trying to respond to things constantly. And because of that, they're not taking advantage of the fact that you essentially aren't defending any of these bases at home. You're often making orbitals, not even planetaries. You're building command centers on location. And these are the classic things that you'll see a lot of mech players do and get away with if they can keep their opponent busy enough with. If you can just build command centers on location or land bases while they're busy dealing with other shit, a single Zergling or a few units stops that happening, and suddenly you need to do so much more APM to send units over to clear the base out, then land it. And that's, of course, meant less APM pressuring them, which means they get more time to spread creep and defend their bases and get more units out. And you can hit this point where they're just like ready on every angle because you've given them too much time and they're kind of comfortable enough they can swamp everything. So basically, we don't necessarily need to be as greedy as I am in this game. Obviously, this is very high APM, what I'm doing here. But we can take elements of this idea of let's be a douchebag, let's harass everywhere, queue up a lot of things. You know, a battle cruiser just queuing through a mineral line, right? Often you just queue a battle cruiser to like fly through an area where you know it's going to pick off a lot of drones. and do that. Sorry, I'm laughing at the thumbnail that just popped up at the end of the video. Shout out to Triple Helix. Yeah. Florencio in the bathtub. He's got his dank bath water. Guys, don't forget to sign up for Florencio's Patreon. He's selling it 30 pounds a pop for a little bucket of bath water. Sewer water, I should say, right? Sewer water. Okay, awesome. So, in your document, can you write down a few things there in that list? So I wrote working on micro, multitasking, creating some chaos. So what about like composition? What are the main units you want to work with? There's a lot of options, but just whatever motivates you, whatever you find cool, you can write them in there.
Sure. Yeah, like I think like the Hellbat BC to sort of like a tank Thor thing.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Sounds good. And do we want to play like contained harassment where it's like one Hellion BC timing, or like, you know, one Hellbat BC timing with more Fate Hellbats in the BC and they run in together, and then we just go straight to tank Thor on 3 base? Or is it like keep building BCs, keep building Hellions, and have a much more delayed tank Thor and stuff, but like basically just have a more of this constant harassment going on?
I like the idea of the like hard early strike and then transitioning quickly.
Okay.
As opposed to continually building like
hard early strike, then transition. So we can.
Yeah.
The thing
like causing like a lot of trouble up top and then.
Yeah, and trying to macro at home. I mean, so I think this is good that you tend towards that. At the same time, if we want to focus on multitasking, creating chaos, and working on micro, so we can do that off 1 BC and 8 Hellions / Hellbats, and then transition. Right. Only, you know, that same BC if it survives, and extra Hellion harassment till our push. But we can do levels, right? If we really want to work on that multitasking, we could go non-stop BC Hellion run-bys. And only, you know, only macro up to the tank Thor behind it. You know, full focus. So I'm actually going to write option 1 and option 2. And it might actually be fun, considering your earlier goals, to say, actually, no, let's float 2k, 1k every game. And then go back and just, oh, I've got so much money. Throw down 7 factories all at once. Cue the SCVs back. Throw down another command center. Go back to microing. Right? Is that efficient? No. But are you fucking your opponent up because you're putting a ton of APM into like microing BCs and Hellions around and being a shithead? Yes. So that's kind of like something where that could be.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
That could be a fun exercise, man. And it's going to be imperfect, and sometimes it'll work out, sometimes it won't. But as long as we focus on the details of getting better at that, and we never do the big culprit for a macro player, which is what I've been raising you as a macro player recently, right? we get in this mindset of like, oh, it didn't work. Like, oh, shit, they'll just have roaches there and they'll have spores and queens. And no. No. What do we focus on? Well, we load the replay and we go, well, next time I see 6 queens in a spore, turn the BC around. Just make it go sit over the 4th base. Maybe a minute from now, we'll find another opening. Right? And focus more on the Hellions. Okay? Oh, the Hellions see 10 roaches? Okay, cool. Well, let's go hide them at the 5th base. Get another pack of Hellions. Split up, wait 30 seconds, and then let's hit all 3 bases at once so the roaches won't cover everything, right? You know, there's always a set play to get around their defense, but a lot of the time when we get in this macro mindset, like there is only one way to play, it's defending. That's it. We can't do anything else. Nothing else makes sense. And then we just kind of get in this simplistic, silly mindset of just being like, oh, there's nothing we could have done here. You know, there's always 1,000 tiny tactical adjustments you can do. And so it's a different sort of learning. You've been going back, I hope, and watching your replays and going, ooh, I was late on my orbital. I was late on this depot. I hit a supply block here. I accidentally got my eBays and my command center timing mixed up. I got to do that in the right order. That's the sort of learning you were doing with macro. Your learning now is going to be like, there'll be a little bit of, you know, I should remember around this point, you know, I shouldn't hit 4,000 minerals before I put my factories down. But most of your learning is more about how can I micro these units better? What is a system for using the Hellions better? If they're always blocking a certain angle, what's a different play that has a higher percentage of working? When do I commit with the BC versus when do I not? Do I fight 3 queens or run away? If it's 4 queens, is that the turning point where I back off and look for another angle? Or is it 3? Is it 2? You know, you're going to have to develop lots of little mini tactical rules. So that's going to be your goal here, okay?
Mm.
Okay. So we're going to go in and let's play a game versus AI. Now, we are going to need a Zerg opponent for the next game. So someone in chat, if you can hop into NA server, chat channel Piggy or Pig, hop in there. We'll use you after this game, guys. We need someone who's about Plat 2, Plat 1, wherever. Somewhere around there is fine. So we can play a game against you. For now, standard depot as per usual, and we're going to figure out a build. How to improve our micro.
SCV ready.
All right, so let's pause for a second.
Game paused.
Sure.
And let's make some decisions, because I haven't figured out what we want to do. Do we want to SCV scout every game to be nice and safe?
Yeah, it's just the habit I've gotten into, so.
All right, so we'll go barracks gas then. Gas first is not as nice with an SCV scout. When are you going to SCV scout?
17 is when I've been doing it.
Okay, we're going to do a 17 SCV scout. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so we're going to go 17 SCV scout, barracks gas, obviously CC on the low ground after you build the barracks, right? Orbital,
Yeah.
Reaper. I imagine you want to build the Reaper, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So pretty standard opening. I'm not going to write down all the tiny details. We'll go factory. We'll go second gas. We're going Hellbat. Do we want to go Hellbat or Hellion with the first version of this?
I don't know. Is there a major difference between the two? I guess Hellion because it's just like fast, but
Yeah. I mean, we can do more run-bys with Hellions. It's more about mobility, you know, dive into a line. Hellbats,
right.
It's going to be more about you just morph them and go, whether with the BC or the BC is hitting somewhere else. And, you know, it's more of an overwhelming. It's a lot more committed, costs more money. And then in the future, you might be like running Hellions into a mineral line and queuing them to actually morph into Hellbats. Or if you've just gone Hellions, you're just darting in, shooting the drones, either running away or wedging yourself behind the minerals and killing the Zerglings when they funnel in. It's just, do we want to hit with a Hellbat, you know, sharp, hard timing with our BC? We go with like 10 Hellbats and then continue Hellion Hellbat pressure from there? Or do we want to just stick with the mobile broom cars? Both are valid, but let's just choose one to learn as our main style to start out.
cool. We'll go with Hellions then.
All right, we'll stick with Hellions for now. All right, let's resume. Bam, bam, bam. All right, so we're going to do a barracks gas build order here. So, of course, it's going to be barracks SCV with the depot, and then we'll take a gas after that.
SCV ready.
So we should have probably had that barracks already rallied over. That barracks is one space lower than it would normally be, I believe. because you're not going to be able to squeeze the depot in the normal position. Be a bit of an awkward wall off. That's okay. Where's the gas? We forgot the gas.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Ah, that's really rough. Let's restart.
Yeah.
If we're a minute in, this costs us no time. Can you hop out? Hop out of the game. There we go. Fantastic. We'll hop back in. Great. This is good because now I have a better idea of what we're doing as well. I wanted to like hop us in straight away, and I was like, wait, we should probably define it a little bit more. Make sure we're actually walking through the correct thing. Very easy. Economic focused Zerg. Let's go, 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 go. Awesome. Okay, so, yeah, 17 SCV Scout, Barracks Gas. It's going to be very standard there in that we're going to go for, you know, Reaper into Marine into Reactor. We're going to go, you know, Factory when we can. Why aren't you? I don't know what's going on with the document. Oh, well. Should always rally that depot SCV over to where the barracks is going to be. So you should have already selected it and clicked it over to where that barracks is.
What do you mean?
Just right click it where the barracks is going to go so that it's already moving
like
to
that?
where the barracks will be placed. Queue up one more
I see what you
SCV.
mean. Okay.
Yeah, queue up one more SCV. There we go. Good, good, good. So barracks and then gas. There we go. Perfect barracks placement. Gas, gas, gas. Yep. So, yeah, a good habit is always just clicking the SCVs to where they're going to build the building ahead of time. Like, same with the gas one we're good on. Just gets it down a second faster. And, like, the barracks SCV should already be right-click down to mine minerals and get the command center, which is something you do every game, and we've seen that before. Yep, so we're going to change the rally point in the command center. And, of course, we are going to control group our scouting SCV. And we're going to queue it to scout and then come back home to mine so that we don't have to look at that scout ever again. Queue it all the way home straight away. Yep, very nice. We're going to go for one more SCV, then an orbital. So try to always remember to queue up those SCVs ahead of time because you're always busy at that point. We'll get the Reaper, the orbital, and then the command center. So Reaper, orbital, 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 orbital. Very, very nice. Command center is going to be next. After the command center, we're going to start a depot, then a marine. So command center, and then immediately grab an SCV and send it to your ramp. Yep. Very nice. Awesome. All right, change the rally point in this barracks after the Reaper comes out and queue up that marine.
Complete.
All right, SCVs and mules. We've seen a normal hatch first, so nothing to react to here. Okay, so that depot SCV is going to build your factory. Okay. Very nice.
Gangway, coming through.
And second gas after the factory.
SCV, we're screwed.
Queue up extra SCVs. We lost our Reaper. Bit of a shame. Not the end of the world.
Ready.
Now, our factory SCV is going to build the starport, so that should already be rallied kind of below it, that SCV. And we're going to lower our depots, get your marine back to the high ground. Try to get out of the habit of rallying to the front of your base. Your rally points should always be on your ramp or on top of your ramp in TvZ, because Zerglings. SCVs on gas, you're doing really good. And let's swap those add-ons and get a starport around. That starport. Go, 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 go. All right, tech lab on the barracks. Keep building SCVs. Keep it going. Get the Hellion production going.
Command center upgrade complete.
Yep, on the ramp. Yes, that's the way. And try to always queue them up in pairs. Try not to queue up odd numbers of Hellions, just so that way it's nice and neat. They come out in pairs. Makes it really easy for us. Let's rally to our natural. And with your starport SCV is going to go start your depot wall. Remember, whenever we do a 1-1-1, that goes and starts depot production. Now, we also want to start a fusion core the second that starport finishes. So let's build a fusion core in the back of our main base.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Build a Viking.
Raise some hell.
Viking. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to use a second SCV to build another depot as well at the front of your natural. We're a bit slow because your starport was late. So you always want to send an extra SCV down anyway just to speed up the depots here. So you're building a lot of Hellions.
Ready to raise
Alright, we don't need a third gas. Cancel that.
SCV ready.
Awesome.
SCV ready.
Okay, awesome. Fantastic. So we're always going to go BC, then third command center, okay?
SCV
BC
ready.
third command center. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to swap that starport over, start the BC, and then the third command center goes after that. A lot of the time, otherwise we go, oh, look, I got lots of minerals, especially if we're slightly off on the build, which we will be when we start, but we always want to make sure we don't delay that BC. So BC, it's got to go, start up, and then we get that, yeah.
Just
get
build
your-
the second one
Yeah, in your
on
main.
site or
In your main, never on site. No, no, no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, that Viking, cue it to A move all around the map looking for overlords. Okay, lower your depots, get your Hellions across the map to go start having a poke. Don't A move them to their death or anything, and raise the depots behind it. And remember, non-stop Hellions and BCs from here. So you got the third CC. Let's go double gas on your natural. And let's, you know, keep building depots in the main, keep building Hellions, keep building BCs. So you can even queue up, yeah, double gas on the natural, very important. So it's third CC into double gas on the natural.
Mineral field depleted.
Ready to raise some hell.
So whenever you're committed like that, there's some good micro. We definitely can do a little bit of shift queuing up towards the tail end of it, but we're doing good. Teleport your BC in, and you always want to teleport that not quite on top of a spore crawler, but just to the side of a base slightly so we can fly it in the rest of the way. Make sure you control group. So that BC should be probably number 2, I would imagine, because Hellions are normally your main army in the early game, but however you want to order it that makes sense for you, we're going to develop a system. And then stuff that we need to be really organized with. So that's one of the things you'll be working on a lot is organized control groups. Guys on gas on the natural. Okay, orbital in the main.
SCV ready.
Mineral field depleted.
All right, what should be our next transition? So, basically, non-stop BCs, non-stop Hellions. We've got 3 CCs. We're going to obviously try to land it and get gases up as quickly as possible, because that's very important. Because we're going to keep doing Hellion run-bys all game, I'd like us to go for a second factory with a tech lab to get Blue Flame as quickly as possible here, like in the follow-up. But because we're so harassment-focused, we want to batch things up. We don't want to be like, add one factory and an armory. Oh, add another factory and maybe another armory. Because then you got to go back to start +1, then you got to go back to start +1 armor at a separate timing. Got to go back to build a tech lab, then you got to go back at a separate time to build another tech. Fuck that shit. If we can just build like 3 factories at once, maybe that would be nice, or even 4 factories, or 2 factories and 2. I would say 4 factories, because I want you to be really harassment focused, really in your opponent's face with this, right? So how about 4 factories all at once? So 4 factories, and I would say what we should probably do with it is 1 reactor and 3 tech labs. So we're gonna have 2 reactors and 3 tech labs. That's a lot of Hellion production that can come out of there. But we're gonna be throwing a lot of Hellion run-bys in all game, right? And we're gonna use that tempo to secure a faster than normal 4th, right? To have even more minerals so we can keep doing it. And Hellbats in our army are very good. If they like run forward with Roach Hydra, you've only got like 6 tanks. Seems really scary. You had 20 Hellbats in front of those 6 tanks. That Roach Hydra is going to get fudged, man. Hellbats, real tanky, great damage if the opponent commits into them. Obviously, they're just useless on their own because the enemy can kite them very easily. But when they got big artillery behind them, hot damn, they're good. So 4 factories, double armory, sounds good, right? Probably going pure ground upgrades. Even though you've got BCs, like, I don't think we're massing BCs. They're too counterable by corruptors, too fancy. I think just getting armor upgrades will be good for them and get the ground vehicle for our tank Thor Hellion later in the game. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
You're often never going to get past that 5 factories. Technically, so we're going to go 4th CC as well. and then technically 2 more factories with tech labs. So that'd be 7 total, 2 reactors. But we're rarely going to remember those factories because you're going to be instead just running shit around, killing your opponent's economy, taking the fight to them, and we're going to be accepting that our production probably never hits the point where it really needs to get. But that's also because your economy is probably not going to get there, right? Because you're going to miss SCVs, you're going to be slow to land bases, and that's okay. So the point is we're setting fire to their economy. So that doesn't matter that our economy is a little bit, a little bit mismanaged or a bit slow to be managed, I guess I should say, and a bit slow to expand and add production and upgrades and that sort of stuff. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. So gas being a big limiting factor, getting those natural gases down, putting guys on gas there, that's going to be something you get better and better at. That's timed out. So after our 3rd CC goes down, soon after that, we get the gases on the natural. At this point, I guess we'll unpause. You can queue that BC to just fly around bases. I like to just queue it behind mineral lines, so it just runs from one base to another, so that even if they send their queens down, it's like automatically running away without me microing it, and it's automatically non-stop shooting. Whereas, for instance, because you just kind of moved and stopped over his base, if a queen shoots it, it'll stop shooting, and it'll start slowly driving towards the queen, and then when it's in range of the queen, it'll start shooting again. If it has a move command, it'll just blast whatever's in range of it. So it's always nice to give those BCs a move command. Not the end of the world if we don't, but if you can, that's awesome.
Okay.
All right. So what are you going to go for now?
All right, so I'm going to queue the BC to run between the bases, then build 4 factories, 2 armories, 1 more reactor, 3 tech labs.
Awesome. Try to be nice and neat with those factories. Your command center is a little bit in the way here. It's kind of in the central area where we would love the factories to be on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of it. You're going to have to figure it out. You can maybe do 2 and 2, but just try to make sure they're in a neat row because you want them all on one screen, preferably. If we just had 2 neat rows of production, it would be much easier to look back, select them all, build reactor, tech lab,
Right.
But, all right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Game resumed.
All right, use the BC on a move command. Yep. Jump back.
SCV ready.
And then,
We could have used the mini-map for that as well.
yeah.
All right, land that 3rd.
Command center upgrade.
Lower those depots, double gas on the 3rd immediately. And as soon as those gases are building, we do try to just put workers on them, right? Because we just want to get shit done. Get the Hellions back on our control group. So this second BC, add it to control group 2. Teleport it across the map. Hellions on number 1. Get your Hellions A-moved to a staging point. Don't ever A-move them to a base. I mean, if you want, you can queue them into a mineral line. But generally, just get them out on the map, and then we can, micro them in however we want later. Awesome. I like to keep all my BCs together, depending on if the game's really chaotic and they don't have spores and stuff. Okay, split them up, right? That's fine. But normally just keep them together because it's easier for you to actively micro them, and 2 BCs just destroys just a couple of queens on their own, right? Yeah. So at this point, you need to go to your natural, box your SCVs, and then go take a 5th, 4th, and 6th base. So just basically go take 3 command centers on location.
Okay.
Bam, build a command center. Bam, build a command center. Bam. If you can do this in under 10 seconds, this opens up so many opportunities for you as a douchebag mech
4th
player.
is main too, right?
No, that's fine. We don't need another command center in the main. We only want to build them on location. It takes too long to siege them up. Yeah, and then double armory needs to start.
Complete.
Right, double armory.
Bam, bam. And then, yeah, you've got blue flame, which is great. So what are we building from here? It's tons of Hellions, tanks, and still building BCs, just to be a dick. Even if they get Corruptors, we're just going to keep building BCs all game and just, wait till the Corruptors are on your side of the map. You can just rally to them to the back of your base. And you're like, oh, the Corruptors show up at your base. You just teleport them into a mineral line. It's just being a dickhead. That's essentially the whole way of playing the battle crew. It's like, oh, you have the units that counter them? I'm going to wait till they're on my side of the map, and then I'm going to kill your economy again. Yeah. Obviously, we could argue you should practice the macro first with this style,
Yeah.
but we're not going to. I'm going to let you just micro your ass off, okay? I'm going to let you, in your own time, go practice the build order, because we've got it written down. You know the order. So you'll be able to do that on your own. but we want to give you more little micro tips and write all those down. So let's hop out. Let's see if we've got an opponent waiting in the chat channel for us. That was a really good first run through. I was telling you a lot of things really, really anally there, like the way I would do it. If you remember all those, that's amazing. And I've written it out the way I do it, which is great. But you're not going to. You're going to remember it your own way. You're going to make this your own build. This happens after that. That happens after that. You're not necessarily going to remember this SCV builds this SCV builds that. That's probably a little bit above the level you're playing at. Don't worry about it. Just find your own way to remember. I'll still remind you of shit this time. And I've still got the full write-up, but we'll see how it goes. All right. We've got Proxy Bob. What do you need today? We need a Zerg. Zerg. Roughly Plat 1. We have a Diamond 1 Protoss. We need a Zerg. Do we have any Zergs? Red Rum? Anyone watching the stream? Let's see what we got here. How many queens to count a double BC harass? Like 6 queens together. Usually if they've got a good amount of energy is fine, especially if they're already damaged. But you'd try to pull all 8 or 9 together and try to focus fire one of the BCs. Especially if you've got a Spore that can be part of the fight, it's great. Oh, fantastic. Red Rum's a really good one for us. Okay, let's go. So, Ephemeron, I think that's an okay map for it. We'll do Ephemeron again since we just played it. There's a lot of different maps, like there's strengths to all of them. But because we've got a lot of wide open thirds, I think the idea of Hellions and BCs darting in constantly, really good on this map pool. Lots of thirds that are quite spread from the natural. Lots of paths we can run in with those Hellions and stuff. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you very much, everyone else. Sorry, I saw Crossfire hopped in as well. Thank you, everyone else who offered their services. But we do not need you. All right. We're going to dive in. I'll walk you through the opening again. And then I'll kind of let you take over. And like I said, like basically before that BC even pops out, I'm going to shut up and let you do your thing. Because this is a lot about you just kind of be really aggressive, micro your heart out. You're going to fuck it up. We don't actually want to win the game. We just want to learn little rules, micro techniques, get more familiar with the build and that sort of stuff. But I'll walk you through the first like 4.5, 5 minutes, and then I'll shut up and let you do your thing, and I'll just take notes so that we can talk about them after the game.
SCV ready.
Armchair General, struggling to learn the core. I hope you got a training regimen. I hope you've looked at the exercises that are suggested and stuff.
SCV ready.
Yep, sending the SCV scout. Very nice.
SCV ready.
Remember to control group the SCV scout and queue it straight back to mining after it's scouted. We don't need to queue up so many clicks necessarily. We can definitely be a little bit more efficient and just click that back a bit faster, but it's all good. You've remembered to queue up SCVs perfectly this game. Looking really good, man.
SCV ready.
So remember Orbital Reaper. And after that command center goes down, remember we send an SCV to go build the depot. Okay?
Okay.
So it's depot, then marine.
Command center upgrade complete.
So we should have sent that SCV down ahead of time. Remember, always click an individual SCV for these early buildings
Right.
to where the building's going to go ahead of time. And we actually want to queue that SCV to where the factory goes, okay? We also want to change the rally point back to the high ground or the ramp so that we're not rallying Marines and Hellions out. We're going to break that habit. Fantastic. So it's going to be factory, reactor, factory, and second gas.
SCV ready. We're screwed. We're screwed. SCV
So we're going to go
ready.
for the orbital, and we're going to swap the barracks and the
Add-on
factory around
complete.
and start a starport. So you can already build a tech lab with your barracks if you want, but doesn't really matter what order we do that in. Starport, yep. Hellion production.
SCV
And
ready.
after Hellion start, we rally to our natural, keep dropping mules,
Command
and queue up
center
those
upgrade
SCVs.
complete.
Now remember, when the starport finishes, that SCV gets rallied down to the depot wall at the front, and is going to start
Add-on
building depots,
complete.
okay? And what else do we do when the starport finishes? We also start a fusion core immediately in the back of the base,
Right.
and only then go for the
Ready to
Viking.
raise some hell. SCV ready. SCV ready. SCV ready to raise some hell.
Send another SCV to build one more depot at the front. So you're always going to hit a slight supply block here. And that's why we send one SCV to just temporarily build a depot, and then he goes back to doing normal stuff. So we only need one depot builder, but we just need one bonus depot, because Hellions chomp through supply like crazy. That's just the nature of a Hellion build, is you could need an extra depot. Or you need to start your
and-
depots earlier.
SCV ready.
Yep.
Around how many Hellions should I like sort of jump out for the first time?
Totally up to you. You could already be over there. And join them up with your Reaper, put them all on number 1. You could be over there with your first 2 or 4 Hellions. So when you're first starting, it's okay to be a bit more chill. I would say just dive with 6 Hellions in the Reaper every game, because we're going to swap the starport back at home. You've got time until they get there. Come on, swap the starport, get the BC started, keep building Hellions. We've got another 5 seconds. BC starts.
I'm in a heap of
All
trouble.
right, now micro.
SCV ready.
Get behind the mineral line if you can. Yeah, focus down the drones. Very nice. Whenever you're down to the last few Hellions, just shift-clicking them on the drones can be really nice. And you go back. Third CC and then double gas.
Ready to raise some hell.
All right, keep building Hellions. Queue your Viking. That Viking should be queued to setch around your base and then around his edge of the map. So you just give it a bunch of A moves and it'll automatically clear up a bunch of overlords. Normally it's like you just check next to your main, next to your natural, and then you queue it kind of in a kind of circle or like a little sphere kind of around the edges of his base. Get your Hellions going again. Lower your depots. You know, put your guys on gas here as well. Very nice. Good job. And get your Hellions going across that map. Let's go. You can go for another dive if you want, or you can just pick at the edges. Queue up another BC, and we're going to make sure everything's control group 2 on the BC. And yeah, basically from here, I'll let you take control. I'm going to shut the hell up, write some notes. Good luck, man. Bring some
Okay,
chaos to
thanks.
this Zerg player. Good luck.
SCV ready. I'm in a heap of
So that
trouble.
BC should have teleported in ages ago. I don't know. I think he's waiting for the Hellions to get there. I don't know what he's doing right now. He's forgotten about the BC. It's like the most important thing right now. His Hellion micro could use a lot of work. He's kind of, you can tell he doesn't really know what to do with a Hellion run by. It takes a lot of experience before you figure that out. All right, I like this. Yeah, he's queuing it. He's queuing it. All right. That Viking's killing shit. Keep building Hellions. He should be landing his third and like, you know, making more stuff. So he's kind of looking around. He's trying to get his bearings right now because he's not as used to this as someone like me. He's much more experienced. But look at that. 2 Hellions. They might even kill a whole bunch of drones here. Let's look at that. He's just, oh, this is fantastic. The Zerg's like, fuck this shit, man. What the hell? All right, so let's write some notes on
Ready to raise some hell.
micro. This is a really good practice style for him just learning how to control Hellions. So micro. Hellion run by. So actually, let's say BC. Queue up move command. You can do this with a lot less clicks. We might want to up your scroll speed 10 to 20%. Okay. Hellion dives.
Depleted.
Ready to raise some hell.
Base is under attack.
SCV
visualize the line of Hellion splash. Try to maximize it. Remember that if you pull away from lings and then shoot them, they will clump up, so it maximizes damage. If you get behind a mineral line, the lings will usually choke up through 1 to 2 choke points in the minerals, especially if your Hellions are blocking those gaps in the minerals from behind them. From here, you can focus down many drones or even just a move and kill the lings.
Add-on complete.
Ready to raise some hell.
He's got to lift that off, man. What's he doing? So first thing you do is lift off, guys, always. This should be very easy micro, but notice how his Hellions aren't control grouped, and he's stopping way too often.
Mineral field depleted.
Hellions versus lings. You need to pull back a lot further before issuing another attack command. Let the lings clump up and get in a line. And remember, Hellions attack very slowly.
Depleted.
SCV ready.
So
Raise some hell.
they take a while before they can attack again.
SCV ready.
You looked like you were stuttering them, almost like Marines. Stuttering them more like Marines. Alright. It's awesome you're doing your macro. Put guys on gas straight away there at your third.
Add-on.
Don't overweight with
complete.
that. And yeah, taking command centers is great. But you also need to create more problems. So this is actually longer on
Research
macro than we'd normally
complete.
like. So start getting your Hellions across, start control grouping BCs and getting them across the map. Get in your opponent's face and go
Okay.
punch some
Mineral
face.
field depleted.
Even if it's just queuing up a few Hellions here, a few Hellions there, we've got to use those control groups. We've got to get in his face. Good luck, man. Yeah, he's taking a long time. Like, he needs to transition SCVs down as well. Looks like he dropped way too many mules in the main. Old habit for him that I told him about previously, I think, but he never fixed. It's one of those deep
Base
habits, right?
is
It's hard to
under
get rid
attack.
of. Where he should have been dropping mules in the third a lot earlier, but obviously he had to lift the third, which made things even worse. Should cancel that, I think. It's alright. Yeah, he's just F2'd everything over here. It's... No, he didn't even F2 it, actually. That's weird. Sent those BCs, but, like, yeah, his army's really, really disorganized right now. So,
Ready to raise some hell.
control groups.
SCV ready.
You
Mineral
need
field
a
depleted.
plan for your groups later in the game.
Our SCV
So, like, why are we
is
attacking
under
in one
attack.
place right now? Is kind of what we're looking at, right, guys? You see, he's letting himself get pulled back. Ever since the Zerglings came in, that's actually where he lost this game. He might still win, don't get me wrong. But notice how from the moment the Zerglings came, he just swapped into this defensive mindset. This is what most players do. And his whole style is meant to be Hellions going in from every side of the map.
Our SCVs are
Yeah,
under
you want to
attack.
start grabbing squads of Hellions and sending them in just queuing them around the edge into mineral lines. So, you know, your tanks will clear this up. Grab a few Hellions, queue them into a mineral line. Grab a few Hellions, queue them into a mineral line on the other side. Get your BCs active on that map. Either send them across the map or just teleport them in, whichever you want to do. And just keep your tanks sieged at home so they can defend stuff on their own. But you've got Hellions on the left, queue them around the left of the map. Hellions, other Hellions, we can queue around the top of the map. You just want to be throwing shit at him. Stop giving a fuck and just throw shit at him, man. Your job is to be the monkey in the cage that throws poo. You don't give a fuck. You're cackling madly. We don't care about defending. We're just YOLO, 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 go, go, go.
Ready to raise some
Your tanks, as long as you keep them sieged at home, will be able to defend. You got this. Yeah, just queue Hellions in from every side. Should have done this 5 minutes ago. Queue up a billion things. If you just kept queuing Hellions, there could be another wave already queuing across the map here. Right?
Well, okay.
In the practice game, the moment we counted with Lings, we fell felt way too defensive. Queue up a Hellion run by and a BC run by.
It's a trap.
Then do your macro quickly whilst they're getting in position.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
That's kind of the general rule. Don't macro for a full 2 minutes. You give him too much breathing room.
Our SCVs are under attack. Our SCVs
Never stop
are
queuing
under
those
attack.
run-bys and attacks him.
Our SCVs are under attack.
So his opponent did a really good job of countering all these expansions trying to go up, but his opponent's economy is still really shit, and he's on a pretty basic army.
SCV ready. Ready to raise some hell. Ready to raise some
Where is this Zergling? Oh, it just killed a tank and it's about to kill another tank. Oh no. Oh no.
Ready to raise some hell.
Alright, he also, so with the BC run-bys,
I'm in a heap of trouble.
cue them to run along the edge of the map into a base, then teleport home when his corruptors find them. And then they get in trouble. Only teleport in
Mineral field depleted.
if his corruptors are all the way at your base, or it's a super chaotic game.
Called in the fleet.
Hellion run-bys.
SCV ready.
As you get later, you get
Ready to
busier.
raise some hell.
Remember to
Upgrade
queue your
complete.
Hellions along the edges of the map into mineral lines and just let them do their thing. Once armory's done,
Base. Our SCVs
you get
are
bonus
under
points
attack. Mineral field
for
depleted.
shift queuing them to morph into Hellbats at the enemy's mineral line. This creates a low APM, huge problem for the opponent. Low APM for you, huge APM for them.
My man.
But yeah, he gave up too much momentum, let the Zerg get a bit too established, and is still learning a lot of basics. Notice the Hellions will move an inch and then try to shoot again, and they're still reloading. So he's just got to get a bit more experience with all of these units. I think this is a fantastic game for starting to teach this stuff. Like, he had the default of what I've drilled into him of like, oh no, I got to set up my macro. But he took way too long to do it. I'm like, I just want to see him be like, factory, factory, click, 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 bam, take a base, take gases. Don't finish the whole macro task. We'll come back to it, queue more shit in aggressively, and macro in between those aggressive waves. And also, of course, he's just got to get more muscle memory because it's taking up so much of his brain power every time he's trying to micro because he's just like, I don't even know how to use these units. So he's trying to actively, mentally problem solve, how do I use the BC? How do I use Hellions versus Roaches? How do I use them versus Lings? How do I queue them into a mineral line? Do I watch it? When do I watch it? There's so much brand new shit. He has no muscle memory. He has no plan for. So he's actually learning so many things as we do this. And I think this is just going to be a really fun style. So yeah, we'll try and go here. All right, pull every SCV. Let's go for an all-in attack.
Okay.
This game's just going too long. We're probably lost, but you know, there's always a chance here.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, yeah, he's like forgotten some important upgrades and stuff like roach speed. So bring every SCV and let's go. You know, scan ahead and get going. Go straight to his natural. Don't go for an expansion. You have a pull SCVs. You don't go for their 6th base. You go straight through the middle to their main. So go. Rally tanks behind it. Morph Hellbats. We don't want Hellions. We want the units that absorb. Bring those SCVs. Come on, get everything over here.
Base is under attack. Vespine Geyser exhausted.
I don't think he realized. He's left every SCV behind. What's he doing? He didn't add them to control group. So it's got to be default. Whenever you pull SCVs, you add them to their own control group or to the main army's control group. And that should be, yeah. Because otherwise, they're just going to get left behind like that every time. So when you go for a push like this, we did want to try to siege up, obviously, ahead of time. We were pretty dead at this point. It was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely something where you did so good in the early stage. And if you rewind quickly, don't leave the game.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go to the 7-minute mark. Oh, you okay? Sounds like you're in Sydney, man. There's like my whole city is inundated in smoke right now from fires, and it's like terrible to breathe the air.
Yeah, I was in Portland the last time they had a major fire. It was the same thing. But no, I just had a little stuff go down the wrong throat.
No worries.
Yeah, I clicked out. Sorry.
We'll just quickly load up the replay. Go to the 8-minute mark. You're doing really good. You're winning this game. And then at 8 minutes 40,
only you can watch the replay.
Oh, you can leave the party and then you can watch it. But you can also open up the stream. I'll show you really quickly what happened.
Okay, yeah, I have the stream up.
Cool. So basically, you're winning the game at this point, and then a few things happen. Number one, we're just not automatic with a lot of things because we're brand new at the build. But so we should always taking priority over macro is queuing up more run bys. These 4 Hellions should have been queued to just run into a mineral line and hopefully kill some shit. This BC should be queued to just run across that map and hopefully, or teleport in. At this early, we're probably still teleporting. Later on, we don't want to teleport because obviously there's corruptors out, right? We're just teleporting to corruptors, killing 2 drones and then dying. That's dumb, right? But we just start queuing the BCs along the edge of the map later in the game, right? So in the later stages, the BC is queued to move here and move all the way in here. And it'll hit a base, kill a bunch of drones. Oh, corruptors are on it. We teleport it out. Fuck yeah. But this stage, we could just go straight through the middle or even teleport this BC in, and he's struggling really hard to get on top of this. He's like, fuck, he's reeling, man. Now he comes across with this Ling run by, and he puts us on the defensive for the next few minutes. And there was no reason for that, okay? So basically, as soon as you defended the Lings, we should have been like Q BCs across the map, Q Hellions into mineral lines, and then macro. While we're waiting for those units to get in position. If we're so busy macroing, we actually... Oh, I didn't look at those Hellions. I have no idea if they killed shit or not. That's fine. Because we're already queuing more Hellions in. And more BCs in and more Hellions. Some of them will just die. But as long as we keep just kind of some rhythm of just keep throwing shit at him. And then when we do have the APM, whenever we've just finished a little cycle of adding factories or landing a base, we can do it. This will keep your opponent off your back, right? Rather than us trying to defend the Zerglings, we should absolutely have already had that happening. And that's something we want you to kind of shift your priorities, right? It's rather than macro, then micro. We're kind of getting, no. Micro, or at least queue up a problem that he has to micro a lot against and really deal with. And then we macro, and then we queue up another problem. And then we do a little bit of macro, and we queue up, we're just queuing him up. And we're just queuing him up because we're really trying to have this feeling of overloading our opponent with minimal APM. And it's going to become automatic. You just like grab 4 aliens, shift click to the corner, shift click to the mineral line. Grab the next 4 aliens, shift click to the top right side, shift click to the mineral line. BC, all right, teleport it in, don't even look at it. If it dies, don't even care, right? You know, sometimes you'll look at it and sometimes you'll get better at prioritizing when to look at it, when to look away, depending on like, you know, you've got a ton of money floating. Sometimes it's more important to spend that money. But we're okay with floating a little bit more money. We're more focused on fucking our opponent's game plan up and not letting him get out from under the thumb. And the more we pile this aggression on, the more his brain will break and he will freak out. He'll be like, what the fuck? This never ends. Like, it is stressful facing this sort of Hellion BC aggression. Okay? You have so much to learn because it's brand new. Experience-wise, you're going to screw up so many things. Just trying to figure out, how do I micro this in this situation? Does this go there or there? There's a lot to learn. You've got to get experience. It's going to take a while, right? But just keep focusing. Okay, how do I micro this better? How do I micro that better? What should I focus on in this scenario? Those sort of things. So let's quickly, you can watch on the stream. I know there's a very slight delay. Just make sure you refresh it if you've had it open for a while. That'll make it closer to live for you. So what do we want to look at? Okay, let's look through a few little micro techniques, okay? First thing is, well, we're already at this point, so let's talk about Hellion stutter step. Hellion, it's not the same as really a stutter step with Hellions. It's more move and shoot, and a lot more move, and then the occasional shoot. So let's look at this. What we want to do is we want to go forward with our Hellions, take a shot, and then immediately pull back. And we want to click really far back. Now, what we notice is you often click just in front of them. You do a lot of this. When you're controlling units, you do a lot of kind of clicking just in front of them. We want to be like, click all the way down here, or even on the mini-map back into the natural, and then A move, and then click back and A move. And because we actually want them to drive quite far, because Hellions attack incredibly slowly. So what we're going to notice is you're going to keep stopping. The Hellions are still reloading, giving the chance for the Lings to kind of get on them a bit, and then they shoot. And then you move, but you only move a little bit, and you stop to attack before they've even reloaded their guns. So we want to get used to moving those Hellions so that they've got time to reload, and it doesn't give the Lings a chance to surround them, number one. But number two, the further you run, the more these Lings are going to clump up for a big, juicy Hellion splash. Because the further you run, the more they're just going to kind of clump up in a big blob and a big line. So you see here how whenever they get in contact, they spread out in this big arc automatically, and your Hellion splash isn't doing as much damage. So if your BCs weren't there, that actually, they might have surrounded your Hellions and killed them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean.
Cool. Let's go to the Hellion dive that you did earlier. So what are you focusing on when you dive your Hellions in? Are you just kind of like just shift-click drones? Is it just a bit too much? There's a lot of stimulus. There's a lot going on when you're diving Hellions. Is there a specific focus you have? Any goals?
Yeah, like what I want to do is just shift-click Hellions, for sure. Or shift-click drones, I apologize.
Yep.
And just wedge myself and then kill as many as I can, almost expecting to, like, sack my units.
Yep. So, I mean, with the early one, we want to micro it a little bit more at first, like you're doing here, like you were doing, right? We do want to micro it a bit, because there's not as much to focus on. Later on, you're just clicking them into mineral lines. And if you happen to have a bit of spare APM, you go look at one, you shift-click it on drones. Oh, you're literally not even shift-clicking them a lot of the time with the later run buys. You're just clicking them into mineral lines to create problems. But this one, let's take a look at this, and let's talk about what our focus should have been. Now, he was well-positioned, good Ling position, good Queen position, made it a little harder for us. So first things first, when we're running in, if there's Lings in front of us, if that was, say, 10 Zerglings where they are, we would probably want to change directions and go to the third base, because we'd be like, ooh, we're going to be running into like a net of Zerglings if we continue forward. Luckily, it was only a few Zerglings, so it wasn't too bad, but it was still a bit of a block. And you can see that caused them to get a lot of damage done on the Hellions. 2 Hellions get surrounded. Rough, right? So arguably, we should have just ran towards the third or ran south and then into the natural, right? To avoid getting blocked up against that terrain. The next thing is we want to visualize those Hellions splash. So because your Hellions are really spread out right now, because of that block, it's actually very hard for you to micro. I would say you actually probably want to clump them up a little bit by clicking in the middle where those Hellions are to group them a little before going in and starting to focus fire the drones, just to make your life a little bit easier, or kind of just clumping them a little bit, because notice how spread they are now. They're not going to attack at the same time. So we move in, and we can see, obviously, we're thinking about, because we also want the Hellions all in one ball, so it's easier to visualize where their splash is going from and to, so it's easier to line it up, right, as best as possible. To stack those shots up on the same angle and to get the maximum effect. So in this position, we would actually want our Hellions to go slightly further down to the right so that we have a straight line through those drones that are evacuating. If we shoot now, I mean, it's not going to be bad. You should still get a nice stack, but we want to try and click on one of these drones in the center that's running off to the left. So if we click on this drone here, we should get a reasonable lineup. Let's see what happens here. So it looks like we hadn't given an attack command quick enough, because one of our Hellions is an idiot and shoots the Queen. So that means we must have finished our move command and not right-clicked on a drone yet. And then it looks like we do right-click on the drone, but actually I don't think we do. Looks like you were giving attack move commands on the ground.
Yeah, I think I was in the heat of the moment.
Okay, never attack move unless you are wedged behind the minerals. Say an ideal scenario, 20 Lings are coming from the left. All your Hellions squeeze through this gap. They're all there, but you've still got 1 or 2 solid. And then you can just A-move as the Lings all clump up in this dirty choke point. You kill them in 1 or 2 shots. That's beautiful, right? But here we needed to be right-clicking those drones. Because we didn't, we gave A-moves. That's really bad. I wouldn't even, with Hellion runners, I don't even A-click, right? You know, a lot of the time with target firing, you actually A and then left-click on the unit. I would just right-click on the drones, because this is something you're going to be doing so much with this style so frequently. It's better to just right-click on those drones, okay? And you can shift right-click them as well, so that's going to be really nice. So because of that, we missed a big lineup, unfortunately, and then we finally do shift-click on the drones, But it looks like we've actually misclicked one of those, so it was a move command as well, I think. And then we do get in the minerals. But you can imagine if this was 6 Hellions back there, and then we queue up on the drones, the Zerglings are only got 1 or 2 guys hitting the Hellion. And then we could have shift-clicked those drones and killed a lot more. So I guess number 1, visualize where their damage is coming from. Number 2, group them up where possible. Keep the Hellions grouped in a blob. Right-click to focus fire. Shift right-click if you're already in position. Awesome. Yeah, because that first run by can just win you games sometimes. It's silly. Kills like 20 drones and you're like, oh, okay. It's a pretty good position for me. With your Viking, you've done a lot of A moves along the edge of the map. Now, your secondary A moves around the edges were pretty good, right? But you don't need to bother with all these ones to the corner. So how would I have made that more efficient? I would have literally, with the Viking, I would have said box it. A-click to this area on the map. Down to this area to clear any Overlord there. And then I would go A-click here, 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 here. And if it gets killed by queens, I'm not watching, it doesn't matter. But it's just basically like these final attack moves you did were pretty nice on it. But we just spent a bit too much APM kind of giving it unnecessary clicks around the corner. You won't find Overlords there till later in the game usually. And that's usually only versus a Zerg player who's really on point. It's more common to find them around the edges of his base and around the edges of your base. Those are also the most important ones because that removes his scouting. It also removes his pre-warning of Hellions coming in, right? So once you kill these Overlords, he's not going to see the Hellions as quickly when they come in, which is awesome. Overlords have great vision. Awesome, man. We did take a while to teleport our battlecruiser in this game because we were focusing on that Hellion dive or something like that, I think. So do try to just, you know, you'll get used to the build. Always get it in as quick as possible. All right, let's fast forward a little bit. So the next Hellion dive comes in. And it looks like it didn't get focus fired at all, unfortunately. So why was this not the right move with the Hellions?
Well, I should have focus fired was the big problem.
But was this the right base to queue them into? While
No,
our battlecruiser
we
was
have
already...
a peripheral base that the battlecruiser wasn't hitting was a better idea.
Exactly, which you tried to do with these 2 Hellions on the left. But, which is great that you're trying to hit 3 bases at once. But these Hellions would have actually been better at darting straight into the main. Like, you're saying, oh, if the BC... If I know I'm going to lure the queens up behind the gases, maybe we click them in the main. He doesn't actually have any drones in the main, funnily enough. But yeah, the 3rd base would have been good as well. So just generally trying to queue into different bases. But that's okay. Especially if we were a little bit faster with you know, building behind it and stuff. And, you know, you might actually find you like building your 3rd on location. Bit of risk reward. Makes it so much easier to get the gases set up there quickly to get that base secured. But obviously it relies on us keeping the momentum on from our early Ling run-bys and Hellion run-bys and BC run-bys. Yeah. So that makes a big difference. But yeah, even at this point, if we just kept queuing these Hellions kind of around the edges of the map, if this BC queued in a lot faster, like that would have been awesome. So try to keep that rhythm we talked about. Send the BC in, send the Hellions in, then do macro for 10-15 seconds. Send the BC in, send the Hellion, or micro them around, micro the ones that are already on the map around a bit, and send it in. A lot of us, we get in the mindset of like, oh, I just sent units in, let's micro them, let them die, then macro, then send units in. Like, no. I'm queuing up another run-by before the previous run-by is even hit. It's still snaking its way across the map, and I'm queuing another one into the exact same base sometimes, as well as the other 2 bases, you know, different run-bys and different things. So we want to really be very harassment-oriented. You're just going to get more practiced at going factory, bam. Command center, bam. Queue up Hellions, bam. You know, all this sort of stuff. It's going to be great. I think you did a great job this game. This was actually a really close game. Very back and forth. And, yeah, I think pretty damn good, man. I think it looks promising. I'm sure this was really stressful for you trying to figure out so many new things, but like, what are you thinking about this style? Are you feeling like, oh, this seems a bit too hard? Is it something, oh, I just got to work on it? Or like how are you feeling after that game?
I think it'll definitely come with time. I think that the like build order and the macro cycles, from what we were doing before, just sort of swap out the like extra barracks with factories. So I think it's like a similar build order in terms of buildings. And so once I get used to queuing up like different buildings, I think that'll get a lot easier. And then just getting comfortable with like doing it all. I think a lot of it is just also I'm here, being coached and on stream, and I got like fat fingers when I'm nervous. But
well, it's so many new things, man. Like doing so much micro with your units, it's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
There's a
Really
lot of
not used
things
to it.
that aren't automatic. Like you'll look at Lings running at your Hellions. I was saying this to the stream while I was watching. I was like, oh, he's doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. He needs to do this better, this better. Because I was writing the notes in the document as well, which definitely go read them tonight and tomorrow as well, especially when your brain's fresh. But I was like, well, this is actually still really impressive, even though he's doing all these mistakes, because I'm like, well, he looks at 20 Lings running at his Hellions, and he doesn't have inbuilt muscle memory, which just automatically deals with that situation the way I do. I don't even need to put any thought to it. I'm like thinking about, I need my 2 armories or something. Like, for you, you're like, I guess I move here with these, and you're kind of like watching it and seeing how it plays out, and you're kind of like, you're getting all this tactical experience with these units, and like, oh, like, if there's roaches that run in here, like, do I move this here? Like, how do I teleport this in? You're getting game sense, you're learning things. But as you like I really like these Hellions run in. Look how much damage these 2 Hellions did on this third. Like these moments started looking really good. The random tank, I love it. I think it was an accident, but I do like it anyway.
100% a mistake. I was shocked to find it there.
Sometimes in these games, it'll get to this point where you kind of swapped into tanks, but you want to keep the aggression up, and you like grab these tanks and just go and like. You like snake them around with a pack of Hellbats, and like you siege them like here on this 4th base, like kill the base, and then you like unsiege and run away. Or sometimes people be like, oh no, like I'm actually gonna siege tanks here and like here at the same time. And it's technically bad if your opponent calmly deals with everything, but they won't. But you were very overloaded. There was so much going on. We saw a Zergling kill 2 siege tanks in this game, for instance.
Yeah, disappointing. You hate to see it.
Well, I mean, not really. It's not. I'm whispering in your ear. I'm like, queue up, go, dude, hit him. It's like it's totally normal. You're gonna miss this going on when you've got me shouting in your ear. You did an awesome job, man. That was great. I think this is gonna be such a fun style for you on the ladder.
So I had one question.
Yeah.
Also, something I was thinking about while I was playing was like, oh, when does the push come? Like, when does the transition from just like making trouble go into, okay, I'm gonna like take my Hellbats and tanks over and like push?
When your army is big as fuck, so it's very technical.
Yeah.
Every game's gonna be drastically different.
That's a lot of jargon you just threw at me. So
yeah. I'm like,
fuck.
Yeah, big
the
as
pro gaming term.
Yeah, with a PH as well. You need your army to be big as fuck. You need a thick army.
Thick.
Basically, you just queue up run-bys, man. And every game, because of your harassment, is vastly different. Where sometimes they literally just have nothing, and you're like, I might as well just go finish it with 8 tanks and 10 Hellbats. Other times, the standard thing with a sort of generic mech army is to wait till you're almost maxed from about 170 supply. You're getting just a big fat army and going across the map, and you'll get a feel for this, right? When you're learning this, you'll be like, nah, let's just go 5 tanks, pack of Hellbats, and you'll get routed, and you'll be like, oh, that army maybe isn't as strong, but like there is like exponential strength, right? You go from 5 tanks to 10 tanks. If you can get them sieged up, it's massive. It's amazing. So you will get your own feelings for this. As a general rule, I would say like, 170 plus supply, at least 8 tanks and 10 Hellbats. But at that stage, you've probably still got Hellion run-bys hitting. You've probably still got BCs hitting. You might do this where you're like, oh, I'm actually still doing BC Hellion run-bys as the push is hitting. And, this makes it even easier to get across and siege up your army and that sort of stuff. So I think you'll find your own rules for that. Start with it as being as like some set rule. That 10 tanks, 10 Hellbats, let's go. Maybe it'll be that. But I want you to kind of come up with your own rule. And if it works for you, keep doing it. If it doesn't, multiple times, maybe you adjust it a little bit. What do you think? I want you to define it right now. You can choose.
Like what that thing is for me?
Yeah, is it a supply count? Is it going to be 10 tanks? What's the marker for you?
I think a supply count feels more comfortable for me because it's just like, I can look in the corner and go, all right, we're at 175. Time to just like,
let's do it. Hells yeah. All right, 170 supply. Let's start getting the push organized and going. Awesome, man. I think that's a pretty good rule. Yep. This should be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
big difference in your play. If you do this correctly, some people will rage. Milnek, by the way, who helped us out. He actually he confirmed. He said, actually, yeah, the lack of pressure after 9 minutes allowed me to feel like I'd stabilized. I was a wreck up to that point. Or yeah. I think the pressure, when there's Hellions running BCs, like that shit's stressful. You could see it, but there's a point where you give him just enough time. The Zerg's like, okay, I've got my guys back on gas. I got my bases back saturated. I got some corruptors out. I'm okay. And it's kind of funny how much we can miss macro as long as we avoid them getting that feeling of calming down, and they will just flounder. And they, you see Zergs, Terrans, Protoss, if you put in enough pressure, floating 5,000 minerals, and they just get to the point where they think the best use of their APM is to call you names in chat rather than, try to get on top of it, because they're like, this is unfair. What you're doing is not fair. It's bullshit. It's kind of awesome. All right, man. Good sesh.
Yeah, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun.
I think we've got one last session. I think this was our fourth of 5. So hit me up whenever you want to set it up, and good luck in your practice, man.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Good night, brother.
Night.
Good sesh.